You have the ability to learn. You have value. You are worth being taught to. These are things that some of the women that we teach have never felt before.
Crazy part is that this journey actually taught you some things. You walked away with things. You learned things. It impacted you.
For the first time in my life, I felt I knew what the truth was, the truth of the truth. And that is just where you stand right here in this moment and to appreciate that moment.
Welcome back, my friends, to the Successful Stylist Academy podcast. I am your host, Ambrosio Carey, where we talk all things about the industry, specifically centered around communication, marketing, and our business, and everything that flows through it that makes things matter. We want to make sure that we give space to the things that really do matter, so that way we can have a thriving, successful career that continues to blossom. Today is a special day. We get to have not one, but two special guests with us. Corey with Hairdustry, who you know very well, and Alannah, who actually is a part of Hair Aid. And I can't wait to talk about this specifically because Hair Aid, we've heard a little bit about this from Corey, but I want to make sure that we really understand, first of all, what Hair Aid is, and secondly, how you can get involved as a hairstylist. And guess what? You don't have to be a master stylist. You don't have to be a stylist that's been doing hair for 50 plus years. But speaking of 50, this counts at the time of recording. In 3 days' time, Alannah is actually leaving in 3 days to Guatemala for the 50th. And you're spearheading this, right, Alannah? So I want to hear more about this, and I'm going to give the floor to you. How about that? Welcome.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me on today and giving myself and Corey the opportunity of sharing to your audience what Hair Aid is and how you can get involved. So Hair Aid is an Australian charity that's been around for 15 years. And what they do is they do volunteer-led projects in Thailand, Cambodia, Indonesia, Philippines, and Guatemala. And what it is it's a week-long training project where we teach women basic haircutting skills so that they have the ability to go back to their communities with the skills to make money and put food on their family's table.
Wow, that is so impactful. And I think sometimes we have this tunnel vision, like I was talking about this before, like we have a scope where we are thinking about our direct hands and how they touch the lives and the hearts of people who sit in our chairs. But we actually have the capacity to spread that. You kind of use the word gospel in the past, spreading the gospel and letting other people, empowering them to be able to thrive and grow, build their own businesses. And I know that these women, children, they come from a very challenging background. Would you mind talking more specifically about that?
Yeah, so the women in communities that we help, they are in base level poverty. Not to say that you and I haven't experienced hardship or poverty in Canada or the States or anything like that, but these are people who live, a lot of them without running water and electricity, 10 to 15 people in a room in a house, and have grown up with probably no education. So for a lot of the people that we train, this is the first formal education that they've ever had in their life. So it's literally teaching them even just that they have the ability to learn and just the value of that education. So it's an entirely different level of poverty that we are helping, break that cycle of.
That's pretty cool. In the room with us is Corey, as a matter of fact. And Corey, you got a chance to go to Cambodia. You had an amazing experience, but I want to hear firsthand from you just how impactful it was to you and, maybe just some big takeaways when you were on your journey.
I mean, listen, it's an incredible experience. I learned so much, not just about Cambodia, but so much about myself while I was there. I definitely went there, and I was going to go, just a backstory, I was going to go in 2021, but none of us were traveling in 2021. So Alannah called me last summer and be like, dude, are you in? And my heart was absolutely in. And then it took me a little bit to kind of like fully commit. But
a little bit of follow up on me being like, hey.
I know, dude. What, Alannah, I don't know if I told you this. I think I told Ambrosio this, but about 6 weeks later, my wife pulls me aside and she's like, bro, what's going on with Cambodia? And I was just like, I don't know. And she looks me in my eyes and she goes, you have to do this. And then once she said that, again, I wasn't looking for permission. I didn't need permission, but man, was that like the most delightful kick in the butt I've ever gotten, and it was just like, it was also very cool on a personal level because shit, like she really sees me, so that was really cool. And anyways, side note. So the trip that I went on was the trip that I was meant to go on. I wasn't meant to go on in 2021. I'm such a different person now. And this was kind of like, we can all talk bullshit about what our goals are as people or how we approach the world. But you're put in a situation like Cambodia and all that is tested. And when I left there, I was very proud of the way that I was tested and the way that I responded to it. I was definitely, like I said, I was definitely on the trip I was supposed to be on. Every day, certainly in Cambodia, every day of my trip was a day of surrender, surrendering to everything, every situation, every opportunity, everything to be able to surrender into that. For the first time in my life, I felt like I knew exactly what presence was. For the first time in my life, I felt like I knew what the truth was, and like the truth of the truth. And that is just where you stand right here in this moment, and to appreciate that moment. Very much learned that about myself in Cambodia, but also being able to help out as well. A little backstory about Cambodia is that they had a genocide in 1975 to 1979. The first people that were killed were doctors, lawyers, and educators. So we fast forward just a few years. There's just not a lot of there's not a lot of education opportunities available. Cambodia's only had an established government since 1998. In education, you just don't flip on. When everybody in the country died that were educators, it's just not a light switch. It takes time. So that was eye opening, for me,
Yeah.
and to what we take for granted, for so much that we take for granted. But in Cambodia, like, we got to step in those things, like when Alannah was saying, like, this is their first formal education. Those aren't just words. That's not just written on a pamphlet somewhere that's promoting it. Like, you experience that. You experience, like, what the lack of education is. I had the opportunity to work in the prison one day, and these guys, a lot of them didn't even know if they were right or left-handed because they'd never really held a pencil. You know,
Wow.
so I know Gina was telling me on Monday when he went in there, like, he watched someone write, like, left-handed, so he handed him left-handed shears. But then the guy was cutting right-handed. He was so confused by
Wow.
it, but they literally didn't know, and they didn't know how to. So with hair aid, and this is incredible to me, is within 4 days we teach six haircuts. 6 haircuts in 4 days. I think in the States it would take 6 months to do that. You know,
Right.
but there's something about when opportunity is the only distraction, they learn. We learn, and so within that, everybody also has to complete those six haircuts twice, and satisfactorily twice as well, right? So we had these sign-off cards. So the students had to write their name on these cards so we could, like, mark them off. And again, in the prison system, they didn't even know how to write their name. It's
Wow.
below any kind of, like, illiteracy that you can possibly imagine. Frankly, that's the place that we need to step into. And it was really cool. It was super, super rewarding. Like I said, every single day was a day of surrender for me, and every day was a reminder that I'm here in service and I'm not here for anything else. And those were big learns on my end.
You know what's really cool to hear about all this, Corey, is the fact that you walked into this wanting to make deeper impact, better impact to as many people as you possibly could. The fact that you even walked in with the idea that you were going to surrender yourself, but you didn't even realize what surrender actually meant. So the crazy part is that this journey actually taught you some things. You walked away with things. You learned things. It impacted you, even though you were there to impact. And I think that's the whole point of passing the torch and helping other people and being truly a part of community. And I think right now, more than any time than ever, we're all searching for that. We want to be a part of community. We want to be able to make impact. We want to be able to contribute. And we don't have to be a master. We don't have to be at a certain level in life in order to do that. And surrender can happen just from a place of existence that you just have an intention to do it. Lana, would you actually mind telling us a little bit more about how the structure of this works? Like, when you first walk in, like, what does this look like to those who have never, let's say we're talking to the stylist who has never, like, maybe gone overseas. Maybe they're scared and they just got their passport, and maybe their idea of going overseas might be like Mexico or something like that. So tell us a little bit more about what can be expected on the forefront for stylists who were to join a future hair aid project.
Yeah. So first of all, it's not a vacation. It's an adventure. That's for sure. And like Corey said, you go in wanting to give back and wanting to change other people's lives. But what we can't explain to you is the impact it's going to have on you. And I can say that with words, but until you experience it, you can't actually fully understand that. So with hair aid, this is Guatemala will be the first project. Corey and I'm so grateful to have been in Cambodia with him in July for the 50th project. So Harried has this down to a science. We're not just gonna, you press a button on a website, you put your deposit down, and then you're left floating in the wind. We make sure we touch base. We have a welcome packet. We have packing lists. We have lots of frequently asked questions. About 6 weeks beforehand, we open up a Facebook group for all of the participants. So we can talk about things like cultural awareness, uniforms, appropriate dress, language barriers, things getting money out of ATM, what the food's going to be like, what the days are going to be like. We make sure that you're well informed along the way, but also giving you just as much information as you need and not overwhelming. A lot of it, when you get there on the ground, we do day one induction. So some people come in a bit early for personal travel or stay a bit late, but on the Sunday we do induction, which is we sit around, we give you the overview of how the day is going to go, and then how the week is going to go. We start putting the resources together of all the scissors, clips, combs, capes, water bottles. Everything in Harried is donated. It is a charity, so everyone brings, a couple pairs of scissors, couple clips. We start putting the kits together, and then we kind of go throughout the week. We also have professionally recorded videos that we upload in the Facebook group beforehand, so everyone can watch the training method, because the way that I teach a haircut or will do a layer haircut may be entirely different than the Harry training program, and the way that you do a layer haircut or a bob graduation. However, Harry's done this long enough that we have a system that we can teach in such a short, effective manner. So we do have training videos that you can watch beforehand, so you can wrap your head around the way that we'll be teaching as well.
Wow, that's cool. It's also helpful, I think, to know that when somebody wants to join something like this, that there's not a lot of preparation they have to do on their own side, that they have somebody kind of guiding them through and they know exactly the process, because you're so right about that. Like, even if I took the exact same class as you, may have, put my own spin or my own signature on it. So I think just having like a very clear roadmap for everyone to know exactly what's expected and how they're going to deliver that. Because I would imagine you're going through, like, tell us a little bit about the 5 basic shapes. It's 5, right? 5 basic shapes that you're walking everyone through. Like, I would imagine a long layered cut would be one of them, maybe a bob. Like, what are some of the 5 signature style or shapes that you're focusing on?
Yeah, so we start off on day one teaching them how to greet a client, how to hold a pair of scissors, how to hold a comb, how to section your client, and then we teach them a basic straight one length haircut. By the end of day one, they have cut at least one full haircut on a live model. It is wild. And then the next day we go over and we do a V-shape cut. So if you think kind of like the Rachel-ish, like a V cut, and then we do long layers, and then we do round layers, we do graduated bob, and then we do a short cut, which could be like a short women's pixie or a men's cut. It'll depend on the situation and the location if we do men's cutting, because in some locations we're in, say, women's jail where we don't have access to male models, or we're in protected locations where there's women escaping domestic abuse or sex trafficking where there's not men allowed on site. So then we pivot to teaching more like shorter women's haircuts. So it is a very intense program. It does not sound like you can actually teach people that. And trust me, you totally can. And they're good at it. Like, I'm pretty sure I wasn't allowed to touch scissors to hair for the first 2 months of hair school. By the end of day one, they have cut a one-length haircut on a live model, and they're doing a pretty good job of it. It's wild and impressive. The goal, like Corey said, is to be able to put food on your family's table at the end of the week with a skill that you didn't have 5 days ago. Like, they are in it. There's no scrolling Instagram. There's no chatting to your friend. Like, they're here.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
Ambrosio, that's actually the wild part about it, is like nobody's looking at what their neighbor's doing. They're so hyper focused on their model and how they're going to learn, and like it's different the way that they show up at these classes, and the best word that I can put to it is opportunity. They see it as opportunity. They know you're not going to be there next week. They know that you're not going to like pull them out of any kind of situation, and they're like super focused. And of course I'm generalizing, but for the most part you give one correction and that's the last correction you give.
Wow.
It's just a different level of how they absorb information or how they absorb the haircuts. And to say, like, you have to trust that Harry knows what they're doing. So
Yeah.
when they're teaching you how to cut a haircut, we know that you can do a better haircut.
Mhm.
But hair aid's done this, it'll be 51 times. They've done it 51 times. They know the best way that it's absorbed. And at the end of the day, it's not about you. It's not about your ego. It's not about how great of a haircutter you are. It's about how they're learning this, how they're learning these techniques, and the best way to learn these techniques. So, you kind of almost want to shift that off a little bit in your head.
Hmm.
This is the way that it's absorbed, not the way that I look good.
I think it's important to key that because for myself, and I would imagine those of you who are listening, you're thinking to yourself, what level do I need to be? Or do I need to be an educator? Or do I need to like tick this certain box? Like, Alannah, what type of candidates have you seen come through with this program? Like, is it someone who's been in the industry for a long period of time? Have you seen some people that are like straight out of beauty school, for example? Like, what level of novice can somebody be in order to pass this along as a quote unquote educator?
Yeah, so you definitely don't need to be an educator. You don't need to have any education or teaching experience whatsoever. And we've had last year when I was in Guatemala, we had 4 people come from Georgian College, and I'm actually excited. Rena is coming back again this year with one of her teachers, and it's a hairdressing college. And they had 1 teacher and 3 students, and the 3 students had literally just finished hair school. One had to skip dinner one night because she had to take her online theory course.
Cool.
And so they themselves had just learned these skills, and they were able to teach it without having a lot of industry knowledge. So you can be straight out of beauty school, you can have a year or 2 experience, and just know that we always have returning harried people. Once you've done it once, it's something that like fills your cup and fills your soul, and you're going to want to continue doing it. So you're paired with other people who know the program and know how harried works. But yeah, it was interesting because coming in, I was like, I'm not entirely sure how this is going to work with these students, but A, they crushed it, and B, they probably jumped forward 4 years in their career
Wow.
just in the confidence and ability that they had in their haircutting. Because if you want to get better at something, teach it. So you definitely you could be not even finished beauty school right now, being like, this is going to be my graduation present to myself. I'm going to kickstart my career by going on a hairy trip, and you'll be more than useful and able to help teach.
I mean, on that note too, Ambrosia, I hadn't cut hair since 1995.
I didn't know that.
No, I
Yeah,
haven't cut
neither
hair since
did
like
I.
1995. Yeah. So I just watched the videos each night and like really absorbed them and took my time watching the videos each night. I mean, or I didn't want to be the student, right? Like I'm not in service if I'm the student. So I obsess a little bit about the videos. I mean, there was some stuff that I couldn't do. I'm not gonna lie about it, but the team leads were so great. They just put me in a position to win. I hope I didn't slow anyone down. That was certainly the goal. And I was beating myself up a little bit about like not being a cog in that wheel.
Yeah.
But the team leads were great, and they were able to put me in situations to where everybody wins. Or I certainly hope that that's the way that it happened. It felt that way. I felt good about it.
That's cool. And I think the overarching position of this is that you are helping other people to jumpstart a career from the get-go, right? Like as soon as they walk away with these main haircuts, they can set up a stand somewhere. They can actually start servicing others and making money right away. I want to maybe hear a little bit about that too, because I'm sure for our listeners, they're thinking to themselves, okay, I get what I get out of it. And I get that I'm passing this on to someone else and it might feel good. But I think the main thing is that you are actually helping somebody put bread on the table, but actually get back to home or get back to being independent or being able to actually live on their own, especially for those who have come in really high poverty levels or have come from an abusive situation as well. So I think it's important to hear those types of things. And because you have so much experience in it, it would be really cool to hear those types of stories, even if there's 1 or 2 standout stories that you can maybe share with all of us that we can hear about this.
I'll pick up here because whenever you do these kind of projects, and it's no criticism of the project at all, but I just think it's as how we process as humans. But as you're teaching these haircuts or as you're with these people, you're always questioning, like, am I making a difference? Is this making a difference? This is just a natural way to process things. And then I met Sotheran. Sotheran is this woman who graduated from Hair Aid in 2018. I don't know her full story, nor do I need to know her full story, because that's not important, really. But what is important is that since 2018, she's opened up her own hair salon in Siem Reap, Cambodia. She continues to train other hairdressers at her hair salon. And every year when Hair Aid comes there, I might be lying about this, Alannah, but let me know if I am. But every year that Hair Aid comes back to Cambodia, she shuts down her hair salon for the week, and then opens it up to the community so people from the community have a place to meet to learn these hair cutting techniques. Sotheran was telling us that the two of the people that she's trained over the last, whatever, 7 years or so, have also opened up their own salons. So if you don't think that this kind of work makes an impact, that was the proof that it makes the impact. It was very emotional for me to meet Sotheran because, again, you question these things in your head. And I think whenever you do this kind of work, you're just like, oh, are we making a difference? How big of a difference are we making? All the
Yeah.
things that are in your head. And then you meet Sotheran and you're like, that's just pure magic. And what she's creating is magic. What you get to experience in her salon and the people that she's helped train, because she's continuing the hair aid training even when we're not there. And really, that's the end goal of this thing. If hair aid
Yeah.
never, ever, ever shows up in Cambodia again, like those ripples are there. Those ripples are now waves. So, that was definitely like an incredible but she's an incredible woman, and has done and is really responsible or taking responsibility of her own community.
That's really cool.
So I've been back to the Philippines twice. So for Harried, a volunteer trip. So the first year, I was in Tahanan, a drug rehabilitation center, and returned back the following year. A couple years later, because there's a little gap in the middle where we weren't able to travel. And what's really cool about the Philippines, for some success story, is Harried has been in the Philippines for 10 years. And there has been so many people that go through the Harried training. And so they're in Manila. Manila is 25 million people recorded for that
Wow.
population, just in Manila's central city. It is wild. The poverty there is just devastating. And there's been so many people who go through the Harried training, who continue teaching haircutting, that they actually come back as our translators.
Cool.
So
Wow.
when I was in Tahanan, I had two people there who had done the Harried training years earlier, continue to use their haircutting skills, and come back and assist us. So there are translators, but they also help us check haircuts. They help us with their training cards. So in the Philippines, both times I've met dozens and dozens of Harried success stories who they've told me they've opened their own salons. They've been able to buy houses for their families. They've been able to put their kids through post-secondary education. So Manila team in Harried is very, very cool. And they're actually now only going there every second year because there is a team of local Manila Harried who put on their own Harried training in the communities.
No way. Wow. That's impressive. How often are these happening? Because I know, like, in advance, like, how far in advance should we look at joining one of these projects? And is it skipping over different locations? Like, how is the layout for that? Or is it like the same time every single year you can expect to see hair aid in specific cities?
So right now they're rebuilding from COVID, as we all were. Before COVID, Harried really didn't do any sort of social media or advertising because the projects filled up about a year to 2 years in advance. And there was 2 projects a year in each location. So there was typically 10 projects a year. Then the borders closed. We still haven't reopened back in Thailand because the government changed their policies on allowing not-for-profit and charities in the country. So there's just different paperwork. So right now, next year, there is 3 confirmed trips. We're doing Bali, Cebu, Philippines, and Cambodia. And then we're looking at dates for other ones. By 2026, we hope to have back up to 6 to 7 a year. But right now, also as we transition away from Selena, the founder and CEO, being for the first 50 projects, she was the project lead on every single one, and she was in country every single one. She's still very much the founder and CEO and a part of Harried, but she's making sure that the charity is sustainable long term by having on the ground project leads like myself running each country. So we're making sure that that growth is sustainable again. So next year there's 3 confirmed projects. By 2026, there's going to be more. And then hopefully just getting back up to those pre-COVID numbers as all of our businesses are.
No kidding. Isn't that kind of crazy to see how long things take to rebuild? But I think what's important is that it's been something it's tried and tested. It's happened in the past, and now this is another opportunity to continue to rebuild and to expand into it. And especially having leads like you being able to spearhead that, I think it's really important to, go back to the whole gospel, like spreading the word and letting everyone know this is something that they can get involved in. What is a max amount of people that can join per project? I would imagine it caps out at a certain amount of people.
Yeah, it depends on the location. So we have 14 volunteers in Guatemala. We had 21 in Cambodia. That was the max. We literally had the entire hotel. Like we had the entire hotel, which was great because
Cool.
we were just loud and a riot on there. I believe Bali has a cap at 16 and Manila has around 20. Typically, it's between 12 to 18 volunteers a project. Any more than that, and it just becomes chaotic and group dinners, getting a reservation for 25 people and things like that. It just becomes not sustainable management wise.
Yeah, that makes sense. Too many cooks in the kitchen situation.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Bros, I want to add
Just
to
like
that.
herding cats.
Yeah, I could
I
see
want to
that.
I want to add to that too. And this I didn't realize this honestly until about halfway through the week of the project. But when we're together at every the hotel that we stayed at was an NGO. The hotel was like it was helping again getting people out of like critical poverty and giving them a skill. Every restaurant that we went to as a group was also NGOs. So Hair Aid doesn't just come in and talk the talk. They're actually like supporting those other NGOs in the community as well that are on the same that are looking to do the same kind of work. And that was like again, I didn't even realize it honestly until halfway through the week, and I go, oh, this is an NGO as well. So it was like, but anyways, it wasn't bizarre, but I was kind of embarrassed that I was just figuring that stuff out halfway through the week. However, but again, they're walking the walk. You're
Yeah.
there, and everything that you do is in support of that. Not just how you're supporting it, but how again when you go to these places, you're also supporting these NGOs, which I found really cool.
Yeah, yeah. My takeaway when I'm hearing all this is that in our industry, I think we tend to focus so heavily on our own technical skill set that we almost get clouded or kind of weighted down by the lack of, or us thinking that we need more of. And I think sometimes stripping that away a little bit, taking away the labels for a moment and really just thinking about how can you connect deeper with people? And those are skills that you can take with you anywhere. I think be able to connect deeper with people, sometimes there is a certain amount of sovereignty, like to be able to give back to people. You are ineffectiveness surrendering yourself without even like literally trying to surrender. I think it's just in the nature of the type of work that's being done. So I think hearing things like this, that to me is all the more reason for myself and those who are listening to really think about if I have the option to go to another hair show and learn some other skill sets, or I could take a pause on that and know that it'll always be there. I can go back to that at any moment, or turn this into not a vacation, but a journey or an adventure, like you were calling it, Alannah. To be able to have an adventure like that and to be able to experience something like that, it sounds like it's an unforgettable moment. And just hearing that from you, Corey, I mean, you're such a passionate person. You wear it on your sleeve. Like being able to hear from you firsthand what type of experience you had, I think is really important to hear that, because I think sometimes we put so much expectation on what we think we need and what we think we're supposed to do and we're supposed to give, that sometimes just doing something a little bit outside of our comfort zone, but a lot of it into the impact that we can make makes all the difference. And if we just have more people who are able to kind of see that landscape, I think it can really change the trajectory of not just other people's lives, but our own careers. And if you're listening and you feel like there's something lacking, if you feel like you're missing connection, if you feel like you maybe need to have a little bit more guidance, but also just having greater impact, if you feel like you're hitting burnout, all of these like trigger words that we're hearing constantly on a regular basis, this is another resource. This is another thing that you can belong to. Alannah, what do you feel like when you talk to people, when you come to these, what is the pushback, or what is the thing that keeps people from coming? Maybe the fear that keeps them in the way of actually joining something so impactful like this?
So there's a couple things. One of them would be cost. So there is a cost associated to the volunteer. It's about $1,500 for the volunteer cost, which covers your accommodations, your breakfast, your transport to and from the airport, and then all the on-the-ground logistics like the translators, transportation to and from the locations, and all of that behind the scenes stuff, and then your cost of flights, depending on if you're going to Guatemala, much closer and cheaper from North America, over to Cambodia, it could be a couple $1,000s. Most people who do hair aid do some sort of fundraising for it, whether that be a GoFundMe, whether that be an in-salon event, any of those things. So sometimes cost can be an issue. Plus, you're taking time away from your family and off of work behind the chair. So that's a big consideration to take into account. Depending on the structure of your business, that could be a business write-off for you. And then also, it's out of your comfort zone. If you're not a traveler like I am, and like a lot of people are, like going over to Southeast Asia, like can be a bucket list thing, but can also be super intimidating. You're like, I don't know about the food. I don't know about the heat. I don't know, like, is there going to be air conditioning? Is there going to be bugs? Is there going to be, like, what's the food? Like, it's scary being outside of your comfort zone, but, that's where growth comes from. And all of those little phrases we can give you on, like, life begins outside of your comfort zone, everything. Like, it's 100% worth it, but it is scary. Maybe convince a friend to come with you if you don't want to, or reach out to me and ask any questions because I'll be your little hair aid friend. But that's the things people say is cost and just being nervous about doing something different. And, like, am I a good enough hair cutter to be able to teach someone else? Absolutely, 100%. Am I going to be able to make a difference? For some people, flying by themselves is something they've never done before, which in itself will have you grow as a person.
Right.
Those are some of the considerations people come to me with.
Corey, I know when we were talking about it, like before you went on yours, we were talking pretty candidly about it too. And you were nervous. I mean, you were raising some of these things up and you have no issue talking to people. Like, I would imagine you probably make friends everywhere you go, but you felt that, right? And like, maybe speak to that a little bit too.
Yeah, I mean, no, I definitely felt that. I definitely felt like everything that Alannah said. Like, what are you stepping into? Are you good enough? Can you teach a haircutting technique? All of that was there, but just never enough to hold me back. I mean, certainly to make consideration of what that's going to look like, especially like the travel and like the navigating and stuff. But you learn so much, and particularly being by myself. You learn so much about who you are really in that journey. And here I am in my mid 50s and I've never done it before, which is almost embarrassing as well. But it was welcome. Yeah, I mean, there's no way around it, right? Like you're gonna feel weird. You're walking into something that you've never done before. You probably, are working with people that you never thought you'd work with before. Yeah, all of that is real. You can't let that get in the way of holding you back because there's so much on the other end of it. Like Friday night after graduation is celebratory. It very much feels like summer camp. It very much feels like you've accomplished something. It very much feels like you have friends for life. Most bonding happens in heavy stressful situations, and there's a lot of bonding that goes on during that week. With all the after hour stuff and just the people that you get to work with during the day and get to bond with. I do want to say that when in Cambodia, when we were there was only 2 Americans there. There was only myself and Gino Chapman that were there. And then Alannah's from, that country above us there. But, we were kind of like the only North American representation there. And I think that there's so much space for more like North American rep here. Like we just got to show up better and more and all that. If I can encourage anybody from North America to go, please go. I know it's a far trip. I know it. I get it. Man, it's like it's
worth
it
it, sounds like.
Oh, it's so worth it. Again, I can speak to Cambodia. That's the one that I've done, right? The Cambodian people are just wonderful, and not just the hospitality people. Everybody is wonderful. You're always met with a smile. You're always met with how they can be helpful. It was just a really, really magical experience. $16 90-minute massages. Can we talk about the massages? Can we talk about how every night ended with a $16 massage?
Nonstop. Yeah.
Nonstop massages. Yeah. And hand pulled noodles. $3 hand pulled noodles, $16 massages, and just like the most warm, welcoming, happy, grateful, beautiful people. For how much trauma that country has experienced, there's
In
just
recent history.
so much positivity, so much happiness. Everyone, you walk down the street, everyone smiles at you. It's just beautiful.
It is. And for record, I mean, we've been talking about like the expense and the costs and stuff. And again, in Cambodia, Ambrosia, I literally brought $500 cash with me. I brought home $100.
I believe it. Yeah.
Like
I mean, I've been there only once before and it was just for a vacation. But I mean, honestly, a week in Hawaii, 1 week in Hawaii equals with airfare 2 weeks in Cambodia. Like it just to kind of wrap your head around that
And that would be like
cost-wise.
2 weeks, like 5-starring
And that was
massage every
balling
night.
out.
And that
Yes.
would be like crazy in Cambodia, right?
Yeah. Yep. It's
yeah.
exactly what it is. So
Hotel
don't let
rooms
the
are about
cost get in
30
your way.
bucks. So, there's not a lot of expense there at all. And there's just so much to do. I mean, outside of the actual project, you go to the most beautiful temples in the world. You go to, we were fortunate enough, we were able to do an elephant sanctuary, which was just, magic. I mean, the truth is that I cried more there in Cambodia than I have, I think, my entire adult life. And that's honestly, and almost all the tears were from gratitude. And
That's
just
cool.
Happy tears. Happy
happy
tears.
Yeah.
tears. Yeah.
Happy tears.
We named one of our students Happy Tears because every time that she finished a haircut and stuff, she would start crying because she was so
Oh my
proud of herself.
gosh.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, let me tell you, it's like yawning. Once she happy tears and everybody happy tears around her, it's crazy. But what was wild was that, like, I got very emotional when we were at Angkor Wat. It's the one of the largest and oldest religious temples in the world. And part of it was like, I'm a hairstylist, right? Like, there's nothing in a hairstylist resume that says you get to travel the world. And here I am on top of one of the 8 wonders of the world as a hairstylist because I'm a hairstylist. And, I don't take that lightly at all. I don't take it lightly that I have the opportunity to represent the industry. I don't take it lightly that I get to experience these things. And, with Hair Aid, honestly, any of us can experience these things. I did talk about raising money. I did do a GoFundMe. My clients and people were very, very generous with getting out there. Highly recommend doing a GoFundMe, and I highly recommend just doing it.
Just doing it. Yeah.
Doing it. It's emotional. It's grateful. I don't know what the
Yeah.
it just it's impossible. It would be impossible for me to do it and not feel complete gratitude for the opportunity. You know, and I cannot recommend that enough. I can't recommend how you feel about it, and how you feel about the opportunity as well as the difference that you get to make and that you'll feel.
Alannah, what is your background? Like, how did you get started with Hair Aid? And, for lack of a better term, to put it bluntly, what makes you want to continue coming back over and over again?
So I found out about Hair Aid about, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago when Tabitha Coffee did a Cambodia trip. I mean, we all know who Tabitha Coffee is. I grew up watching Tabitha Salon Takeover, formed me as a
baby.
hairdresser. Love her. And she posted about her Cambodia trip, showed up on my Facebook feed. And I love traveling. I travel internationally 3 or 4 times a year just for personal enjoyment. And I was like, hair and travel combined? Sign me up. So I just started kind of creeping on Hair Aid, seeing when there was a trip that could work for me. I did Philippines, January 2020. That was the last trip before everything got shut down. Changed my life. And then I did the first trip that opened back up after that, which was Philippines, January 2023. I continue, this Guatemala will be now my 5th project. And I continue to work with Hair Aid because it is one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done in my life, is sharing my skills to people and seeing the impact that it has. Like, literally, there's value in, mission trips and building houses and all the different other charity works that are done internationally, but you are literally using the skills that we take for granted to make people, feel beautiful and, haircut and stuff like that. You are teaching people the skills that by the end of the week has changed the trajectory of their life. And it humbles me. It makes me so grateful. It makes me so appreciative for what I have. And it is just such a phenomenal experience that if I could do it full time, I absolutely would, because it is just the most amazing feeling knowing that you are helping someone, even just with like self-esteem and confidence. Like, you have the ability to learn, you have value, you are worth being taught to. Like, these are things that some of the women that we teach have never felt before. And I just can't say enough good things about the organization. And I want to continue, giving back to it and sharing the word, so that I think every hairdresser should do it. It's such a phenomenal experience, and to be able to share your skills like that.
That's really sweet. I mean, it sounds infectious, contagious. Like, it sounds like something that if you actually do take the leap and try it out, you'll get it. I've not done it yet, but even hearing about it, I get it. And I think what's really important to hear is that doing something like this lets you open yourself up to more opportunities for yourself. So in some ways, like, there can be a selfish, like a self-gratitude or self-rewarding type of mission that can happen within this whole process too. It's not just about one or two or whatever. It can impact many. Yeah, I love hearing about this. And I definitely want to add more into the show notes so that you guys who are listening, that you can be a part of this. Look over the schedule for 2026. Where can I send everyone, Alannah, for everyone to learn more about this? To the website?
Yeah, so the website's the best. It's harry.org.au, I believe. It'll be in the show notes. Follow them on Instagram, follow them on Facebook. You can always DM me or Corey if you have any questions. I'm always happy to hop on a Zoom call with anyone if they want to just like chat through, they're interested and they have some questions.
That's cool.
And yeah, and it's one of those things, like, you don't get it until you've done it. I can tell.
Yeah.
I told Corey, Sony, this and this, and it's like, you can be like, yeah, but once you're in it,
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
Yeah. It
sounds life-changing, really. I mean, not just for you, but actually for others who are recipients of it. And there's no lack of. It sounds like we just need to have more and more support. And especially, I mean, that's abysmal, guys. Come on. We've got 2 people from North America attending in Cambodia. Let's get the numbers up here. We have a lot of, really talented, but also people in our industry that really care about this industry. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to go do your own thing, found your own thing, create your own thing. Just join and, be a part of the adding into that puzzle. Just add another piece into that puzzle. And I think it's really important to be able to make impact in your own way and to be able to add yourself as your own thing. And all I know is that if you feel like you are lacking in your self-esteem or your confidence or whatever, because I hear hairstylists, I see you, I hear you, and I know that that's something that you yourself feel like, I don't know if I'm ready for it. Just knowing that you can actually participate and help someone else find their confidence and their reasoning, that actually helps you find your own confidence in yourself too. So sometimes there is a workaround with it, and inadvertently you can find something while you're giving back to others, it actually gets back to you.
It's so rewarding, that it's going to carry on any kind of burnout that you have, right? Because it's completely opposite of what we do in the chair every day. You know what I mean? And it's giving so much that it's really, really just a remarkable kind of, you come back fired up to be a hairdresser. You come back fired up in the salon, and you come back with some great stories too. But so to also carry your, your in salon conversations for the next 6 months as well. But it's, by the way, Alannah made me buy not made me. I bought a book while we were in Cambodia, and I took it to work with me. So it's definitely like the talking point of each appointment there. But yeah, I mean, it cures everything. It cures any anxiety that you have. It cures any kind of burnout that you have. It cures anything that you have, and it creates perspective. We talk about boundaries in this industry an awful lot. Well, wait till all those boundaries are removed. Wait till, and then you come back not even feeling as weighted by all these things. You come back just feeling like, just again, grateful to be in this industry, grateful to have a career, grateful to be able to give back. It's just, again, just kind of filled with gratitude, and it cures everything. It's like an aspirin. It cures everything.
It really does give you so much perspective. And this is a silly story. I noticed the other day, someone hit my car in the parking lot. It's a tiny little bump on there. Me 5 years ago would have had a meltdown about it. I bought that car a year ago, all those things. And I was like, It's a car. I'm grateful that I have a car. I'm grateful that I have a car to drive me to my work that allows me to make money, to put roof over my head. Like, you want to talk about perspective and things
Mm-hmm.
like that? Like, go to a country where you're teaching someone who doesn't have running water and electricity. When you come home and a light bulb burns out, you're not like frustrated anymore. You're just like, I'm grateful that I have the ability to replace that light bulb because my house has electricity. Like, if you have any personal struggles at home, it's not gonna, you're not magically gonna have all the things, but it will put a lot of stuff in perspective. And I will say, if you're not quite ready yet for hair aid, that's okay. It may take being exposed to it a few times and seeing other people do it, but if you're not quite ready yet, share the word. Share Ambrosio's podcast to your audience so that they can hear about it more, and just talk about it, because it will, at one point in time, it will be the right time for you. And that's when it'll be meant to be.
Or bring a friend. Or bring a friend if you're really nervous about it. Turn it into an extended trip afterwards. Because Corey, you even said that you went to Elephant Sanctuary. I know that you went to Angkor Wat. Like, there was probably other things that you added on top of it. I mean, if you're going to go that far, you might as well. Especially since we established the $30 or the $9 massages and stuff like that. I mean, you can get one every single day if you want to. But at the same time, yes, you can make a deeper impact, which I think is the main thing that we really want, others to know that it even exists, that it's something that's there. I know that when I was a younger stylist, I didn't realize that something like hair aid existed. And I remember the very first time, and this is actually early in my career, I had a chance to meet Vidal Sassoon for the first time. And he was actually working with what's now beyond the chair, or behind the chair, I mean. But he was talking about a rebuilding project for New Orleans. And he was, really just doing a funding process, because he was really trying to get hairstylists who could actually redevelop. And even in that instance, we want to make impact, and we want to be able to be a part of something that's grander than ourselves. I mean, I think us as humans, like us on this planet, we want to be able to make impact that's bigger than ourselves. I think that's one of the threads that continues to sew all of us together. But sometimes we don't really know how to do it, or we think it takes something large. So to know that there's something like this that is organized, that's been done, tried and true, 51 times now and counting, that to me is a no-brainer. And I think it's just a matter of deciding when the right time is for you. Like you were saying, Alannah, not everyone's going to be able to do it right then and there, but knowing that it's there, that it's kind of just like, there's a little itch that you can't quite scratch. It's there. It's there when you're ready for it. So I will definitely drop more information into the show notes, anything that I get beyond this. Alannah, I want to thank you so much for being here. Corey, as always, love you. And I just can't say that enough. I don't know what that was. It was like a little heart. It's like, we're swimming.
So blessed.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I was showing the bracelet. Got it. If you guys saw the video, you'll understand what I'm talking about, because I was like, I don't know what's happening. I thought you were trying to make the heart symbol.
I can't make the heart symbol. My hands don't go that way.
I'll try to help you with it next time I see you.
I don't know. It's
upside down heart.
I don't know. My hands don't work. I don't know how you guys do that.
You just got to work on the flexibility with the digits. You got it. See, you did it.
No, it still looks like a sphere to me. It's all crazy. Ambrosio, thank you so much. Thanks for the time. Thanks for allowing us to come in and talk about certainly what I'm passionate about, and certainly what Alannah's passionate about. She keeps going back, but I'm definitely going back at some point. I'm definitely going back to Cambodia with or without hair aid. I just find it a very, very magical place. So again, just thank you. And Ambrosio, we need you in Cambodia, homie. We need to
I
get you in
know.
Cambodia.
I would love to. I mean, like I said, I've only been there the one time, and I went as a visitor, but how cool would it be to go back and be able to serve in this way? Oh, yeah, sign me up. I would love to do that.
Ambrosia too, though, I want to add this too, Alannah. Hopefully I don't kill you here, but some people came with their spouses too, and the spouses kind of worked with hair aid as well. So it might be like a good an opportunity for you and your husband to go and to do the good work, and then to hang out for a little bit. I definitely, if you're going to go that far, go for a couple of weeks, figure that out, because you definitely want to experience the culture and stuff as well.
Absolutely. My husband came with me on the first 2 projects in the Philippines, and he's
Really?
actually he's a horticulturalist, so he did community garden projects. But husbands can come along and do admin work. They can, you know what, they can watch we have someone actually coming in Guatemala. Her and her wife are coming together, and her wife is not a hairdresser, but she's been watching the training videos several times, and she's pretty confident she's going to be able to help us cross-check haircuts and stuff like that. But
Cool.
absolutely, they're typically 1 or 2 per project. Bring their spouse with them. And you want to talk about bonding experience together? Like, yeah. So highly
That's a
recommend.
cool idea, actually.
If that's a hold up for you, just bring them along.
Yeah. No, that actually sounds like a really cool way for you and your spouse to bond, but also everyone can contribute in their own ways, like you were just saying. So why not? I mean, if you want to do something like this, you don't have to do it alone, and you don't have to just bring a friend that also does hair. So that's cool to know that, because I wouldn't have known that if you didn't say it out loud. So that's cool to hear that.
It's also really
Awesome.
cool because your spouse gets to see what you do and how you do
Yeah.
it, and the impact. And also, like, most spouses, I don't think get the impact that we can have as hairstylists. And this is definitely an opportunity for them to kind of sit back and like go, oh yeah, you guys really are making, like, you see everybody, like, you see their eyes wide open, you know, when they kind of see the impact that we can make. And again, you get to share some of that gratitude as well.
But is there any talk of like going into other Asian countries, particularly India, maybe? Only reason I ask is my husband speaks fluent Punjabi and Hindi and Urdu, so that would be kind of a cool way to expand the project in a way. But I don't know. I'm just curious if there's been any chats about that.
Yes, we actually do have a couple upcoming potential countries that we've looked into, hopefully for 2027. India is on the list. So is Nepal.
Cool.
Some of the some of the interesting dynamics of some different cultures and countries is that women don't cut their hair for religious reasons. So it's something that we
Right.
need to take into consideration when we're planning which country to go to and stuff like that. But Nepal, India, Kuala Lumpur, putting Thailand back on the map. We've looked at Vietnam before, but the level of government and paperwork and things like that seems like that might be pushed down the road. But also based on connections, if anyone listening to this is like, actually, my mom is a doctor who goes to Nepal twice a year for Doctors Without Borders, and she has a ton of contacts in that country. That would streamline things so much better. So to have connections already on the ground in the country would make expanding into new countries so much easier and, happen faster. But we're definitely open to any and all
Amazing.
opportunities for Harry to make the impact that it does around the world.
Okay, no pressure, listeners, but if you guys have any connections in other countries that can benefit from this, like, hit us up. Like, we want to hear this. Like, this is a real way of actually like just continuing on the connection of our industries. Very cool. Thank you so much, guys. Like, this was so eye-opening and also inspiring just to even hear it. Like, I feel like I got a little bit of like your energy like on me. Like, this feels really good. Really cool chatting with you guys. And until next time, everyone, I want to continue to encourage you guys to dream big, set goals, take action, and we will talk to you very soon.